The call came while I was standing in the bridal shop, half zipped into the dress I had been dreaming about since I was 22. Hi, is this Sweeney? A polite female voice asked. Yes, this is Sweeney, I said, watching myself in the mirror, the lace, the soft satin, the warm glow of the fitting room lights. I thought it was a friend calling to check in. This is Melissa from Willow Creek Vineyard. I'm calling to confirm your cancellation for May 23rd and to remind you that the deposit is non-refundable. It took my brain several seconds to understand the words. My what? Your cancellation, she repeated, cheerful and polite. You called yesterday and asked to cancel your booking. We've released the date and processed the deposit. A strange little laugh tore out of me. No, I didn't. Melissa hesitated. I watched the smile fade from my reflection as the room grew unnaturally quiet. My maid of honor, Leah, looked up from her phone, sensing the shift in the air. I'm sorry? Melissa asked carefully. I never canceled, I said slowly, each word landing like a stone. I've been planning this wedding for a year. The date is in 6 weeks. I never canceled anything. I heard typing on the other end, fast, nervous. Well, she said after a moment. The call came from someone named... Let me check. Yes, from Amber. She said she was calling on your behalf because you were too upset to do it yourself. She completed the cancellation form electronically. We have her listed as your authorized secondary contact. Leah mouthed, What is going on? I lifted a hand for silence. Amber, I repeated, the name scraping down my throat like glass. Amber canceled my wedding? I'm very sorry, Melissa said, genuinely sounding so. But the date has already been released, and I'm afraid there's been extremely high demand for that weekend. I hung up, just like that. No goodbye, no thank you. I hung up because if I didn't, I was going to throw the phone across the room. What happened? Leah jumped up, her face pale. Sweeney? I stared at myself in the mirror. The pinned curls, the tiny buttons down the back, the dress I'd chosen after months of scrolling, saving, dreaming. The dress I was supposed to wear while walking toward the person I loved. And I thought of Amber's face when I first told her I'd booked Willow Creek. That's ambitious, she'd said, smiling in that passive-aggressive way she'd perfected. Are you sure you can afford it? I should have listened to the tone behind those words. Willow Creek said Amber called and canceled my wedding, I said. My voice sounded as if it belonged to someone else. For a moment, Leah simply froze. Then, No, no, no. Please tell me you misunderstood. I shook my head. The bridal consultant knocked gently. Everything okay in there? No, nothing was okay. But I said, Yes, just give me a moment. She stepped away. Leah grabbed my phone. We're calling back. This is insane. This is illegal. It's not a mistake, I said quietly. Because this was exactly the kind of thing Amber would do. People hear sister and imagine matching pajamas, sweet childhood memories, family loyalty. They don't imagine someone who hid my favorite toys, tore my dresses, told my secrets to friends so she could watch me cry. They don't imagine someone who lived off attention like oxygen and hated when anyone else got it, especially me. You know how Amber is, my mother always said. She gets overwhelmed easily. She's emotional. She doesn't mean to hurt you. But she did. She always meant it. When I got engaged, I did what I had always done. I tried to include her. I shouldn't have. Leah put the call on speaker. Melissa answered again. Leah explained everything, calm but furious. I completely understand, Melissa said. But the cancellation has already been processed and the date has been rebooked. Rebooked? I asked. Already? By who? I can't disclose that information. You can confirm Amber as my authorized contact, but can't tell me who took my date? I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to share client details. The rage rose, sharp and cold. I felt it settle in my bones. We ended the call. For a moment, I just stood there, listening to the faint laughter of another bride somewhere down the hallway. Someone was celebrating. Someone else was twirling in a dress, loved and wanted and supported. I felt like the floor had been pulled out from under me. Leah whispered, I'm going to kill her. I swear to God, Sweeney, I'm going to. No, I said sharply. Not yet. At least let me slap her. I stepped off the platform, the hem of the dress whispering around me like a broken promise. You're going to help me take this off, I said evenly. Then I'm going home. And then? And then I'm going to find out what Amber did. Because something wasn't adding up. The authorized contact, the electronic signature. The date rebooked literally within hours. Amber didn't just want to ruin my wedding. Amber wanted something for herself. While Leah helped me unzip the dress, memories poured back, little red flags I ignored. Amber insisting she'd handle the calls because I looked tired. Amber begging to be listed as a secondary contact. Amber joking, maybe I should just plan the whole thing. You're such a control freak. I put my jeans and sweater back on and felt myself shift. No longer a bride in a dream. Now a woman with a purpose. The drive home blurred by. Leah cursed. I stayed silent. I knew my parents' house was closer to Willow Creek. I knew Amber would be there, lounging on the couch, scrolling through her phone, waiting to see when I'd discover the mess she made. I imagined storming in. I imagined my mother gasping, my father pacing, Amber crying fake tears and saying she thought she was helping. But I knew exactly how that scene would end, with me being the difficult one, the dramatic one, the one who always misunderstands Amber's intentions. No, I needed proof first. When Leah dropped me off, I went straight to my desk drawer and pulled out the wedding contracts. Willow Creek's was on top. I flipped to the page naming Amber as the authorized secondary. My signature, hers, side by side, mocking me. At the back of the folder was the electronic form I'd filled out months ago. The box for allow secondary contact to modify booking details was checked. Because I had been tired. Because I had trusted her. Because I had believed, stupidly, that this time she wouldn't ruin something important. Leah leaned against the counter. What do we do now? I stared at the paper. If Amber could cancel my wedding as me, I said slowly, then she could also change other details. Like transferring the booking. Claiming the date. Leah blinked. You think she rebooked your venue for herself? I remembered how effortlessly jealous she'd looked when I showed her pictures of Willow Creek. The glowing patio lights, the lake, the vineyard rows. Amber had said, it's nice, I guess. But her eyes had said something else. I think, I said, feeling my entire body harden around the truth, that Amber didn't just cancel my wedding. She stole it. Leah's smile turned dangerous. So, what are you going to do? I looked at the contract, the forged signature, the empty date that used to be mine. I'm going to get it back. Because that was the moment I stopped believing Amber's excuses and started believing my instincts. That night, sleep didn't come. Not even close. I lay in bed with my eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling as if the answers were hidden in the shadows above me. Every time I blinked, the same thought returned. Amber didn't just cancel my wedding. She took something. She claimed something. She moved something into her hands. All my life, I'd made excuses for her. I'd rationalized, forgiven, swallowed the hurt. But this felt different. Bigger. Colder. Calculated. By 3 a.m, I was done lying still. I got up, made coffee I didn't need, and sat at my dining table with my laptop, the wedding folder, and the hollow feeling in my stomach that something terrible had happened behind my back. The online portal for Willow Creek was still active. I'd paid for the account. I logged in hoping to see something, anything that confirmed what my gut already knew. My name was still listed as the primary client, my email, my address. But under recent activity, I saw modification recorded, booking details updated by secondary contact. Timestamp, yesterday, 4:12 p.m. Note, bride name. And here the text stopped. A blank space followed by, they had erased the bride name entirely. My heart hammered against my ribs. Amber erased me. Okay, I whispered to myself. Okay, perfect. Good. Because now I had a direction, a thread to follow. At 7:45 a.m., the second the vineyard opened, I called. Melissa answered again, chipper and rested. I felt like I'd aged a decade since yesterday. This is Sweeney, I said. I have questions about the modification to my booking. There was a pause, as if she was bracing herself. I can't give you details about another client's event, she said. I'm not asking for details. I'm asking for logs, access records, IP addresses, anything that shows who made changes yesterday. I'm not sure we're allowed to. I'm the primary contract holder, I said sharply. Nothing has legally transferred. If someone changed details without my knowledge, that's fraud. Melissa exhaled, a soft sigh of someone torn between rules and common sense. Give me a moment, she said, and put me on hold. When she came back, her voice was lower. I can't send you any client information, she said. But I can confirm that changes were made from an external device not registered to your account. By my secondary contact? Yes. And were those changes consistent with transferring a booking? Or altering the bride's name for a new couple? A longer pause. Finally, Sweeney, I strongly advise you to contact our manager, Mr. Thompson. He handles contract irregularities. She gave me his direct number. That alone told me something was seriously wrong. I hung up, grabbed my keys, and left the house. I didn't even think to shower. Didn't eat. Didn't text Amber. That could come later, when I knew exactly what I was dealing with. I drove to Willow Creek. The vineyard sat on a hill, its rows neat, green, peaceful. The kind of place brides dream about. The kind of place I dreamed about. I had pictured myself walking down the stone path to the patio, sunlight catching the lake behind me. Now it felt tainted. Mr. Thompson met me in the main office, a tall man with gray hair and a polite stiffness that suggested he had dealt with more wedding meltdowns than any human should. Sweeney, he said, shaking my hand with practiced calm. Let's go over the situation. His office smelled like oak and coffee. The walls were lined with photos of happy couples. I wondered how many knew that the people running this place had let someone steal a wedding date like picking a pocket. He sat across from me with a folder. I reviewed your case this morning, he said. Your secondary contact, Amber, has full modification privileges because you granted them when you submitted your booking form. I didn't grant privileges, I snapped. I checked a box by accident. Unfortunately, from a legal standpoint, that distinction is irrelevant. I clenched my fists. Yesterday, he continued, your sister used her privileges to cancel your booking. She then attempted to immediately reserve the same date. The word attempted caught my attention. Attempted? I repeated. Not succeeded? She tried, he said. However, because her name was not the original contract holder, and because the cancellation had not formally finalized in our system at the time, we could not allow her to rebook it directly. A breath I didn't know I was holding escaped my lungs. So she didn't get the venue? He hesitated, looked down at the folder, then up at me. She rebooked the venue using a third party. The air went cold. Who? I whispered. I cannot disclose names, he said automatically, but then leaned slightly forward. But I can tell you the payment came from an account associated with your parents. My stomach dropped to the floor. And the contact email on the new booking is registered to Amber. For a moment, everything inside me went numb. My parents paid for it. Amber claimed it. My wedding. My dream venue. My date. She stole everything. Why? I asked, my voice breaking only slightly. And didn't you stop her? She provided documentation indicating that you had willingly transferred the booking to her. My head shot up. What documentation? We received an email from your personal address stating that you no longer wish to use the venue and were transferring the event to Amber. The message included your full name, booking number, and a scanned image of your ID. I didn't send any email, I said. She must have hacked something or forged something. There is, he interrupted gently, a possibility of identity fraud, which is why I'm advising you to contact legal counsel. I couldn't breathe. Amber forged my ID, stole my venue, used my parents to pay for it, and took my email address, God knows how, so she could impersonate me. It wasn't impulsive. It wasn't emotional. It wasn't a misunderstanding. Amber had planned this, every step, every lie, every manipulation. Is the new booking finalized? I forced out. Yes, I closed my eyes. And the date? May 23rd, he said. My date. Amber was going to have a wedding, on my day, at my venue, with my plans. My hands were shaking under the table. What are my options? I whispered. He hesitated, weighing his words carefully. You can file a fraud claim. If you can prove your sister forged your ID and impersonated you, the contract could be voided. However, these investigations take time. How much time? A month, maybe more. My wedding was in 6 weeks. If the fraud is proven, he continued, the booking could be canceled and the date restored to you. He didn't add what we both knew. Another bride, my sister, would be destroyed in the process. And my parents would be humiliated. I sat there for a long time, my pulse roaring in my ears. Finally, he said, there is one more thing. I shouldn't tell you this, but I looked up. Amber has already customized the event with details identical to your original plan. Same floral designs, same catering, same timeline, same decor. I nodded slowly. Of course she had. Amber didn't just want a wedding. She wanted mine. She wanted to walk my aisle, stand under my arch, dance on my patio, use my decorations, my date, my dream. She wanted to become me. I see, I said softly. Mr. Thompson closed the folder. I'm truly sorry, Sweeney. I wasn't. I was something else entirely. I left Willow Creek in a fog. The sun was rising over the vines, beautiful, warm, golden. It should have hurt to see something I loved so much being used against me. Instead, something inside me clicked. A slow, cold clarity. Amber had spent her whole life taking, because no one ever stopped her. Not my mother, not my father, not me. Until now. I sat in my car and called Leah. She stole it, I said. Leah didn't even sound surprised. Of course she did. How bad is it? She forged an email from me. She forged my ID. She used my parents' money to rebook the venue under her name. And she's using all my plans. Leah let out a long, murderous exhale. Okay, she said. Then we're not dealing with jealousy. We're dealing with a psychopath. I laughed bitterly. Mr. Thompson said I can file a fraud claim. It would cancel her booking. I could get the date back. That's good. It'll take a month, I said. Too long. Then what do you want to do? I gripped the steering wheel. Amber thinks she won, I said softly. She thinks she's walking into my wedding with my decorations, stealing my thunder. Yeah? I breathed out. So I'm going to let her think she's won. Until the very last second. A thrill ran through me, a dangerous one. A feeling I had never allowed myself before. The feeling of fighting back, of reclaiming something, of delivering a blow she would never recover from. Sweeney, Leah whispered, awe in her voice. What are you planning? I smiled. Not sweetly, not politely, not the way my parents taught me to. I'm going to give Amber the wedding she deserves. And not 1 second of it would go the way she imagined. The first step was gathering proof. I drove straight to my parents' house. The whole way there, my hands trembled, not with fear, but with anticipation. Rage sharpened into resolve. They were in the kitchen when I arrived. My mom was slicing fruit. My dad reading the news. Everything normal, everything ordinary, until they saw my face. Oh, honey, my mom said. You look tired. Sit down, my dad offered. You want coffee? I didn't sit. I know what Amber did. My mom's knife stilled above the cutting board. My dad lowered his paper. What do you mean, sweetheart? She canceled my wedding, I said evenly. And then she rebooked my venue using your money. My parents exchanged a glance. That glance told me everything. They knew. They had known. They had been part of it. My mother spoke first. We thought, well, Amber has been under a lot of stress. She didn't think you'd mind. She stole my wedding, I said, my voice rising for the first time. She forged my ID. She pretended to be me. My father shifted. We thought you two would work it out. Work it out? I laughed. She committed fraud. My mother's eyes filled with tears, always her favorite weapon. Don't use that word. She's your sister. She's a criminal. That landed. Something cold passed over my father's face. Where is Amber now? Probably sleeping, I said. Resting up for her big day. My mother winced. I braced my hands on the counter. I'm not here to argue, I said. I'm here to tell you I'm not letting her get away with this. What are you going to do? My father asked warily. I looked at them. At the moment, I said, nothing you need to worry about. Which was true for now. But Amber needed to worry, because now I knew everything. And I wasn't afraid of her anymore. My parents didn't try to stop me when I walked out of their kitchen. They didn't call after me, didn't chase me, didn't say my name. They just watched me leave. Maybe they finally saw the version of me they'd spent years pretending didn't exist. The one who didn't bend like warm wax around Amber's whims. The one who didn't apologize for wanting things or for grieving when they were taken. Or maybe they just didn't know what to say. Either way, it didn't matter. What mattered was that for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of what Amber or my parents thought. I wasn't afraid of upsetting the family balance. I wasn't afraid of being difficult. I was done being easy. I sat in my car outside their house for a long minute, exhaling slowly until the trembling in my hands settled. My mind wasn't scattered anymore, it was sharp. Focused. Amber had executed her plan with precision. I could do the same. The first part of any revenge, I realized, was information. Real information, not emotion, not speculation, not family politics. Facts. So while I drove home, I did exactly what Amber had taught me without meaning to. I thought like her. If I had stolen my sister's wedding, what would I do next? I would hide the evidence, bury the tracks, delete the emails, lock down accounts, pretend nothing happened, act like the victim when the truth surfaced. I would protect the illusion at all costs. So I needed to find what she didn't delete. Digital footprints always left something behind. When I got home, I made a list. My email, my cloud backups, the shared family iPad, my parents' banking activity, Amber's old messages, our shared photo albums. I opened my laptop and went through my email first. Nothing. Amber was too smart to leave anything in my inbox. But she wasn't smart enough to cover her tracks in my deleted folder. 2 nights earlier, at 1:17 a.m., the night she canceled my wedding, there it was. A forwarded message from my email to hers. Subject, for the form. Delete after sending attached. A picture of my driver's license. My breath stopped. She had taken my ID from some old file on the iPad, maybe from the year I moved apartments, and used it to prove my identity to Willow Creek. The timestamp matched exactly the timeline Mr. Thompson had shown me. Amber had sent that image to herself, then immediately deleted the email, but she never emptied my trash. Sloppy. Uncharacteristically sloppy. Maybe she'd been too excited. Maybe too rushed. Maybe too obsessed with the idea of becoming me to see clearly. I screenshotted everything, saved it to a secure drive, and backed it up twice. This was the first thread of a fraud claim and the first thread of something else. A truth Amber couldn't talk her way out of. Then I went to the shared iPad, the one that lived in my parents' house for years before they replaced it, and dumped the old one in my mother's craft room. Amber used that iPad constantly growing up, and she used it whenever she helped with my wedding planning. The lock code was still our childhood house number. I opened the browser. Amber always forgot one thing. Incognito mode wasn't as incognito as she thought. Under Recently Closed, one tab opened instantly. How to transfer wedding contract without primary holder approval. My stomach clenched. Below it, email impersonation legal consequences. And below that, vineyard wedding ideas, lavender theme. I laughed. I couldn't help it. She didn't even bother to change my theme. Lavender was mine. My bridesmaids were going to wear lavender, my bouquet, my tablescapes. Amber had copied everything. She didn't want a wedding. She wanted my wedding. I took photos of the screen, every tab, every timestamp, every search query. Evidence number 2. Then I noticed something else. Something bigger. Her search history included Willow Creek seating chart PDF template, Lavender Arch Rental Chicago, how to edit bride's name in PDF without watermark, where to print invitations overnight invitations. Invitations meant she had already chosen a guest list. And Amber only had one guest list in the world. My parents, her best friend Carissa, and everyone who ever flattered her, which meant she likely hadn't invited my fiancé's family, which meant she was planning a wedding without the groom. That realization hit me like a slap. She didn't have a fiancé, she didn't even have a boyfriend. So what exactly was Amber planning to do on May 23rd? Who was she planning to marry? That question changed everything. Amber wasn't getting married. Amber wanted to stage a wedding, a fake one, a performance, a photo op, a spectacle. Something she could plaster online to make her look like the successful, adored, glamorous sister. She wanted the images, the attention, the narrative. She wasn't stealing my groom. She was stealing my audience. But then a darker thought hit me. What if she wasn't planning a fake wedding? What if she was planning something worse? Amber always loved stealing men I dated. Not permanently, just long enough to prove she could. It was her favorite hobby. What if she planned to announce something dramatic on May 23rd? An engagement? Or a pregnancy? Or some fabricated story that would make me look like the unstable sister who ruined her big day? Amber thrived on humiliation, as long as she wasn't the target. And now she had the perfect stage. My venue, my date, my decor, my theme, my stolen identity. She wanted to stand where I was meant to stand. She wanted to make me look small. She wanted to rewrite the narrative. Not a wedding, a takeover. "Oh, Amber," I whispered. "You really don't know who you're dealing with anymore." The next step was the uncomfortable one. Confronting my parents again, not for validation, but for information. I drove back to their house later that afternoon. This time, I didn't walk in angry or crying. I walked in calm. Dangerously calm. My mother was still in the kitchen, wiping the same spotless counter. My dad pretended to read, but his eyes weren't moving across the page. "Where's Amber?" I asked, straight to the point. My mom flinched. "Sleeping. She's been so stressed." "I didn't ask how she feels," I said. "I asked where she is." "Upstairs," my father replied. "Good," I said. "I'm not here for her." My mom swallowed. "Honey, I know you're upset, but this is all fraud," I finished. "Yes, I know, but that's not why I'm here." My dad set his paper down carefully. Then why are you here? For answers, I said. And you're going to give them to me. There was a long silence. Then my father asked, what do you want to know? How much did she take from you? I asked. How much did you give her to steal my venue? My mother's lips trembled. We paid the deposit. All of it? She nodded. Why? Because she said you didn't want it anymore, she whispered. She showed us an email from you. I stared at her. Did you even look at the address? The header? Anything? She looked down at her hands. We trusted her. Of course they did. I breathed in slowly. Did Amber say why she wanted the venue? My parents exchanged another glance. They had dozens of these glances over the years. Glances that served as conversations. Glances that always ended with Amber being protected. She said, my father began carefully, that she needed it for something important. Something she'd been planning for a long time. A chill slid down my spine. Like what? She didn't say, he admitted. Just that. She deserved a special moment. A chance to shine. There it was, the truth beneath the truth. Amber didn't just want my wedding. Amber wanted my spotlight. She wanted the world to see her as the chosen one. The adored daughter, the successful sister. And she was willing to destroy me to do it. Did she mention a groom? I asked. My mom blinked. A groom? No, why? I stared at her, really stared. You paid for a wedding venue, I said slowly, without asking who she was marrying. My mom flushed. My dad cleared his throat. Shame flickered across his face for the first time. They hadn't asked because they didn't care. Amber wanted something. That was enough. I turned to leave, but my dad stood up. Sweeney, he said, please don't do anything rash. Oh, the irony. I smiled. A slow, sharp smile he didn't recognize. Don't worry, I said. I'm not doing anything rash. And I walked out while they watched with the fear of people who finally realized they'd lost control of the daughter who used to obey. The next 36 hours were a blur of planning. Not rage, not emotion, strategy. I gathered every file, screenshot, timestamp, and search log I needed. I made backup copies. I organized everything into folders. Then I started phase 2, discovering Amber's plan. Because I needed to know exactly what she wanted before I took it away. Amber never kept anything fully private. She hid things poorly. She thought secrecy was the same as deleting evidence. But the universe gifted me something better. Carissa, Amber's best friend, her confidant, her mouthpiece, and the worst secret keeper in the Western Hemisphere. I invited Carissa for coffee. She showed up in 30 minutes, breathless and excited, wearing a massive scarf and that dramatic eyeliner she'd been loyal to since sophomore year. Oh my God, she gasped before she even sat down. Amber told me everything. Did she? I asked sweetly. What exactly did she tell you? Carissa leaned in conspiratorially. That you gave her the venue, that you didn't want the wedding anymore, and you said she could have it since she needed a bigger moment right now. I think it's so brave of you. Brave? Oh, Carissa. Right, I said. And what moment exactly is Amber planning? Carissa looked around, lowered her voice, and whispered, she's going to announce something huge on May 23rd. What kind of announcement? I can't say, Carissa said, glowing with the joy of forbidden gossip. But it's going to change everything. Not a wedding. A spectacle. She continued. She's hiring photographers, a videographer. She bought a dress, white, obviously, but more dramatic than yours. I didn't blink. And she wants you to be there, by the way. I raised an eyebrow. She invited me? Of course, Carissa chirped. She wants everyone to see how supportive you are. Supportive. Amber wanted me in the audience while she used my venue, my date, my theme, my decorations to announce some fabricated milestone just to steal attention and humiliate me publicly. In that moment, all the pieces slid together into one horrifying, brilliant picture. Amber wasn't planning a wedding. Amber was planning a staged engagement announcement with a rented fiancé, fake rings, dripping drama, and a photo shoot stealing the spotlight of my original day. A counterfeit wedding, a counterfeit love story, all designed to overshadow mine. I smiled at Carissa, sipping my coffee. "Thank you," I said softly. "You've helped me more than you know." That night, I wrote out my plan. Not revenge, justice, real justice. Because Amber stole everything she thought I cared about: the venue, the date, the dream. But she forgot one thing. I still had something she didn't: the truth. And I was about to use it. Not quietly, not politely, not in the shadows where Amber thrived, but publicly, loudly, in front of everyone she wanted to impress. Amber wanted my wedding day to become her stage. Fine. I would make it the stage for her downfall, and when the lights came on, everyone would see exactly who Amber really was. The night I finished writing my plan, everything inside me felt unnervingly still. Not numb, not broken, just steady. For the first time since the engagement ring slipped onto my finger, I wasn't reacting to Amber. I was acting. I wasn't the sister who swallowed her feelings to keep the peace. I wasn't the daughter who backed down when my parents raised an eyebrow. I was someone else now. Someone who finally understood that kindness without boundaries isn't kindness at all. It's suicide. So I stopped dying in small ways, and I started preparing. The first part of my plan was simple. Amber wants an audience. I'll bring her one, just not the one she expects. The second part required precision. She wants attention. I'll give her more attention than she can handle. The third part, well, that one was my favorite. Make sure every lie she built collapses at exactly the right moment. In public, in real time, with every camera pointed straight at her. Amber wanted a show. She was going to get one. The next morning, I woke up early and drove to a place Amber had never cared to know existed. Riverbend Gardens, a quiet, secluded venue 20 miles outside the city. It wasn't as large or as flashy as Willow Creek. It didn't have a vineyard or lake views or the fairy tale glow of string lights on imported stone. But it had something more powerful: privacy. A place where I could build a moment that belonged only to me, and to the people who deserved to witness it. The woman who ran the venue, Eleanor, had a calm presence and warm eyes. The kind of person you trust even before you know why. "I need a date," I told her bluntly, hands clasped so tightly my knuckles burned. "May 23rd. Her eyebrows rose. "That's soon." "I know." "And you want the full ceremony? Reception? Everything?" "No," I said. "I want something small, intimate, meaningful. Just close friends and the people who matter." I didn't say, "Not my parents." I didn't need to. She studied me for a moment, as if reading the story behind my posture, my voice, my eyes. "Let me check," she said softly. When she came back, she gave me a smile that felt like a hand on my shoulder. "We have an opening." My throat tightened. It was the first piece falling into place. The next step was harder. I had to tell my fiancé. His name was Ethan, a man who hated drama and loved simplicity. A man whose parents adored me. A man who had nothing to do with the war between me and my sister. I didn't want to drag him into this, but it wasn't optional. When I told him everything, the cancellation, the stolen date, the forged ID, the rebooking, the fake wedding Amber was staging, he stared at me for a long time. Not suspicious, not doubting, just heartbroken. "Sweeney," he said finally, voice tight, "why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I didn't want to ruin what we were building. I didn't want our wedding to be about her." He took my hands, not gently but firmly, the way someone grips you when they're anchoring you to keep you from drifting too far away. It's not about her, he said. It never was. And I'm not letting her take one more thing from you. That was the moment I knew Ethan wasn't just my fiancé. He was my partner. What do you need? He asked. Everything, I whispered. I need you to trust me. I need you to follow my lead, and I need you to stay absolutely silent about this plan. His jaw tightened. Done. Over the next week, we worked quietly, systematically, without making a ripple. Amber believed I was sulking, that I'd retreated, collapsed, given up. She expected the version of me she'd always beaten, the one who curled inward when hurt. She didn't see the version of me who'd spent nights on the floor with my laptop, cross-referencing timestamps, printing screenshots, assembling folders filled with forged emails, stolen ID, fake signatures, search histories, her lavender theme planning files, evidence of impersonation. I wasn't just making a plan, I was building a case so airtight that even my parents wouldn't be able to explain it away. But there was one more thing, one more piece of information I needed before the trap could close. What exactly was Amber planning to announce on May 23rd? An engagement? A pregnancy? A fake husband? A dramatic rebranding of her entire life? Whatever it was, she was hiding it carefully. Too carefully. Which meant she was terrified of someone discovering it. And people only hide things they know don't hold up under scrutiny. I needed to know her angle. I needed to know what she was using my wedding day for, before I took it from her. So I waited for the right moment, and it came on a random Thursday night when my mother texted me something she never sent before. Your sister wants to talk. Please come to dinner tomorrow. Interesting. Amber wanted me close. Not because she cared, but because she needed me for optics. She needed the story to look clean. She needed me to play the forgiving sister. She needed my presence to validate whatever lie she was going to announce. Perfect. Let her think I would play along. When I walked into my parents' house the next evening, the atmosphere hit me like humidity. Thick, uncomfortable, unnatural. My mother greeted me with a forced smile. My father hugged me stiffly. Amber sat on the couch, glowing. She wore a white silk blouse. White. Of course. Hi, she said sweetly, as if we were two sisters chatting over brunch. I'm glad you came. I sat across from her, crossing my legs slowly, calmly. What did you want to talk about? Amber folded her hands in her lap, taking a breath like she was about to accept an award. I wanted you to hear it from me, she said. I'm going to make a big announcement on May 23rd, and I want you to be there. Oh, I bet she did. My mother's eyes were shining with anticipation. My father leaned forward, waiting for Amber to drop her bomb. Amber continued, I've been working on something life-changing. A project that will really put me on the map. A project. That was new. My eyebrows lifted just slightly. What kind of project? She hesitated, just for a fraction of a second, before launching into her monologue. I'm launching a lifestyle brand, she said proudly, a full rebranding of myself. New website, new social media, new image. And on May 23rd, I'm holding a content shoot at Willow Creek. Videographers, photographers, influencers. It's going to be huge. A brand launch, a photo shoot, a content day, not a wedding, not a fiancé, not a relationship. Amber was marrying her ego. I almost laughed. She wasn't even pretending it was a wedding. She was simply using the symbolism of one. My theme, she said glowing, is a day of becoming, a transformation, a rebirth. White dress, ceremony-style decor, a bouquet, like stepping into my destiny. I'll do the visuals first, then the announcement speech. I stared at her. She stole my wedding. To dress up like a bride for Instagram. Not even a real wedding. A fake wedding. A photo shoot. My mother beamed as if Amber had discovered a cure for cancer. Isn't that wonderful, sweetheart? She's reinventing herself? My father nodded. This could really help your sister's career. What career? I almost said. But instead I smiled, a slow, devastating smile. Amber mistook it for support. Of course she did, because she always underestimated me. Well, I said softly, congratulations. Her eyes lit with relief. She had expected a fight. But tell me, I added casually, have you told the venue? Oh, yes, she said. They think it's a wedding. I wanted the authentic setup. And the guests? Just a small group, she said. People who matter. Not me, not Ethan, not anyone who would question her. A curated audience, perfect for a public meltdown. Great, I said, standing. Thank you for inviting me. Amber rose too, pride radiating off her like perfume. I knew you'd understand. I kissed her on the cheek. She didn't know that I was memorizing the exact spot where I'd watched her manipulate our family for years. Of course, I whispered. Sisters support each other. Her smile was triumphant. Mine was lethal. That same night, I told Ethan everything Amber had confessed. He listened silently, jaw tightening with each word. She's turning our wedding day into a performance, I said. A performance about her. He shook his head slowly. She really has no shame. No, I said, but she will. Ethan reached for my hand. Tell me the rest. And so I did. The trap I was building. The evidence I'd gathered. The moment I would reveal everything, not privately, not gently, but in front of the audience Amber curated for her rebirth. He didn't interrupt. He didn't try to stop me. He didn't say it was too much. When I finished, he squeezed my hand. I'll stand beside you through all of it, he said. I nodded. Sweeney, he added softly, this is going to be the end of your relationship with your family. I smiled sadly. No, I said. Amber ended it. I'm just acknowledging it. The real preparation began after that. I made phone calls, booked rentals, coordinated vendors, ordered a dress, not the one from Willow Creek, but one that felt sharper, more intentional, more me. I made a guest list, a real one, not built from obligation. Leah, Ethan's family, my closest friends, people who loved me without conditions. I prepared speeches, files, screenshots, printed copies, backup drives. I rented 2 projectors, audio equipment, a discreet microphone. I didn't need them for my ceremony. No, I needed them for hers. Because Amber wanted an audience, I was going to give her one. Amber wanted a rebirth. I was going to give her a reckoning. Amber wanted to stand on a stage. I was going to make sure everyone finally saw who she was. Not the polished version, not the curated version, not the rebranded dream, but the truth. Raw, ugly, undeniable. And when the cameras turned on Amber on May 23rd, they would not capture her becoming. They would capture her unmasking, and I would be the one pulling the strings. May 23rd arrived quietly, the kind of morning that looks ordinary until you realize your life is about to split into before and after. The sun rose early, the air was warm. My dress hung from the door in a protective bag, soft and elegant. Not extravagant, not dramatic, not a costume for an ego parade, just mine. Ethan had slept on the couch the night before, partly out of superstition, partly to give me space. When I walked into the living room at dawn, he stood up immediately. You ready? He asked. I took a long, steady breath. Yes. And for the first time in weeks, I meant it. We drove to Riverbend Gardens first. The place was quiet, unhurried, peaceful. The river behind the garden glimmered in the early sun. Eleanor and her staff were already setting up the simple arch I'd chosen. White fabric, soft greenery, and lavender blooms. Not because I had to match a theme, but because lavender had always meant something to me long before Amber stole it for her fake rebirth. My guests, my true circle, began arriving one by one. Leah in a deep plum dress, hair perfectly curled, eyes fierce with loyalty. Ethan's parents, who hugged me gently, as if afraid I might break after everything I endured. My friends from work, two college roommates, and even Mrs. Henderson, my old neighbor, who used to bring me cookies when Amber made me cry as a kid. They formed a quiet garden of love and safety around me. Not one of them asked, "Where's your sister?" Not one asked, "Why aren't your parents here?" They knew. They understood. They chose me. My wedding at Riverbend was scheduled for 4 p.m. Amber's event at Willow Creek, her faux bride spectacle, was scheduled to begin at 2 p.m. Perfect. I didn't need to ruin her day. I just needed to reveal the truth in the right place, at the right time, in front of the people whose opinions she worshipped like currency, and then walk away to my own life, where she couldn't reach. By noon, I was dressed, hair simple and soft, makeup understated, a small bouquet of lavender and white peonies in my hands. "You look beautiful," Ethan said when he saw me. His voice didn't tremble. His eyes did. "Ready to go?" I asked. He nodded, but he didn't take my hand. Instead, he asked carefully, "Sweeney, before we go to Riverbend, are you sure you want to stop at Willow Creek?" I steadied myself in the mirror. Because I wasn't going there to fight. Not to scream. Not to humiliate for the sake of humiliation. I was going for closure. "Amber is using my decorations, my theme, my day," I said softly. "I'm not letting her rewrite the story." He exhaled slowly. "I'll be right next to you." I know. The drive to Willow Creek Vineyard was strangely quiet. Cars passed. Wind pressed against the windows. My heart beat evenly. No anger, no shaking, just resolve. When we pulled into the parking lot, it was already filling up. Amber's guests, influencers, acquaintances, people who love drama more than truth, gathered at the entrance with excited whispers. Amber had always been good at gathering spectators. We walked toward the patio where she was holding her event. Ethan's hand hovered near mine, not clutching, not pulling, just present. Ahead of us, a tall wooden arch was covered in lavender flowers. My arch. The tablecloths were ivory, exactly the ones I had chosen. The place settings were gold-rimmed. Even the glassware matched the sample pictures I'd sent Amber last fall when she begged to help me organize my Pinterest board. Everything was mine, except the woman standing in the center of it, wearing the white dress she'd bought to imitate me. Amber looked radiant. Not in a bridal way, in an I'm the star of my own movie way. Her dress was dramatic. Layers of tulle, a sweetheart neckline, a train that she absolutely couldn't afford, which meant my parents must have bought it for her. She saw me almost instantly, and her smile froze. "Sweeney!" she gasped, waving one hand in the air like I was a paparazzi moment she wanted to capture. "You came!" Her guests turned toward me, phones out, eyes wide, definitely expecting some tender sister reunion or emotional forgiveness moment. Amber stepped closer. She tried to hug me. I didn't move. Her arms dropped awkwardly. She laughed. Brittle, chirpy, too loud. "Oh, come on, don't be dramatic. Today is a celebration." "Yes," I said calmly. "It is." She swallowed. For the first time, I saw fear flicker behind her eyes. "Everyone," Amber announced, raising her voice. "This is my sister. She's been so supportive through everything. I'm so excited she's here to celebrate my big moment." Supportive. Celebrate, sister. Not today. I walked past her toward the main table, the same table where my name had once been printed in mock-up seating charts. I placed a small silver USB drive on the center of the table. "Amber," I said, "I brought something for you." Her smile twitched. "What is that?" "The truth," I said. My voice didn't shake. "I thought your guests might want to see it." People turned. Whispers rose. Phones lifted. Amber stepped forward in a small panic. "Sweeney, not here. Let's talk." "No," I said. "Here." I turned to Mr. Thompson, who was hovering near the staff doorway, clearly uneasy. Could you connect this to the projector? I asked politely. He hesitated, looked at Amber's guests, at the cameras pointed at him, and at Amber herself, whose expression was starting to crack. Then he nodded. Amber grabbed my arm, nails digging into my skin. What are you doing? I pulled my arm free. Showing them what you did. No, 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 she whispered harshly. Sweeney, don't. Please. Her voice trembled. A first. Mr. Thompson plugged in the drive. The projector flickered on. A large white screen lit up behind the floral arch. Amber spun toward her audience. Everyone, please ignore. There's been a misunderstanding. But then the first slide appeared. Email screenshot number 1, from my email to hers. Timestamp 1:17 a.m. Subject. For the form. Delete after sending. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Amber's face paled. No, she muttered. No, that was... Slide number 2 appeared. A scanned image of my driver's license. Next to it, metadata showing the image was taken from the shared iPad used by Amber. Slide number 3, search history, how to transfer wedding contract without primary holder approval. Email impersonation legal consequences. Lavender Wedding Arch Chicago. Forge signature PDF. Every head turned toward Amber. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Another, "She did that?" Amber's breath hitched. That wasn't me. Someone hacked. Someone. Slide number 4. A copy of the email she sent to Willow Creek impersonating me. My name is Sweeney. I no longer want my venue. I am transferring my booking to my sister, Amber. Her words, her fake signature, her lie, projected larger than life. Amber stumbled backward. Her white dress swished around her feet like a ghost that came to drag her down. Stop it! She shrieked. Turn it off! Turn it off! Mr. Thompson didn't move. Neither did I. Slide number 5. My parents' bank statement showing the payment to Willow Creek. The same amount as my deposit, processed the day after Amber canceled my booking. My mother gasped from the back of the crowd. My father put a shaking hand on her arm. The room was collapsing around Amber, but I wasn't finished. I picked up the microphone, my voice steady. This, I said, looking at the crowd, is the person you came here to celebrate. Amber covered her mouth with both hands shaking. This is the woman who canceled my wedding, I continued, who stole my date, who forged my ID, who impersonated me, who manipulated our parents, who rebooked my venue to stage a photo shoot in a white dress, using every detail I planned for my wedding day. Phone cameras were everywhere now, recording, live streaming, capturing everything she thought she could bury. Amber tried to speak, but only a choking sound came out. Sweeney, she whispered, please stop. Please? I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the girl who spent her life taking from me because she believed I wouldn't fight back. She was wrong. No one destroyed you, I said softly. You destroyed yourself. I stepped back. If you wanted a rebirth, I said, this is it. Then I turned to leave. Amber collapsed onto a chair, sobbing, mascara streaking down her cheeks, clutching the ruined dress she bought to steal my identity, and I walked out of Willow Creek with Ethan beside me. My parents didn't follow. Her friends didn't defend her. The guests didn't comfort her. Amber was alone. For the first time in her life, we drove straight to Riverbend Gardens. The moment I stepped out of the car, Leah rushed toward me. How did it go? She asked breathlessly. I smiled. Perfect. And it was. Because I wasn't shaking. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hollow. I felt free. Completely. Utterly free. Eleanor cued the music. Guests took their seats. Ethan stood under the arch, waiting for me with eyes full of love. The real love Amber could never fake or steal. As I walked down the aisle, lavender brushing softly beneath my feet, I felt the weight of my old life fall away. Amber's shadow, my parents' expectations, the years I spent making myself small. Gone. When I reached Ethan, he whispered, "You okay?" I nodded. "I am now." We said our vows, we exchanged rings, we kissed under the arch. And the people who loved us applauded, not because of spectacle or drama, but because they were a part of the life we were building. A real life, not a performance. At the reception, Leah raised her glass. "To Sweeney," she said, "for choosing herself." Everyone clinked glasses. And for the first time, I believed I deserved it. Late that evening, when the sun was low and the garden was glowing gold, I stood with Ethan near the river. "It's over," I whispered. He squeezed my hand gently. "It's just beginning, actually." And he was right, because that day wasn't just the end of Amber's control over my life. It was the beginning of mine.